Ba 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 dun 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 dun. That hurt my neck when I did that. Ow, that really hurt. I forgot that my neck is in pain, but I'm here. We're here. Welcome back to Popcorn Poppin' Live in Memorial Day. It's a holiday, but the show must go on. I don't have a beat, but I go long. If I have to, then I will be here for you because I'm clearly an insane person who's dying to review movies and have a good reason to always spend my time watching so many movies. Hello, I'm the Popcorn Poppy. What up, doe? And welcome back to Popcorn Poppin' Live, your ultimate movie, TV, and streaming guide. I am the Popcorn Poppy, and there is way too much content in the world, and it can't be wasted your time. So let me waste my time for you by watching all that looks vaguely interesting. Turn down the mic and let you know what's poppin', what ain't. Tonight, we will be rating the past week's films and TV shows and go over the latest news for upcoming projects. But first, let's go over some of the past news. On a kind of grim note, George Wendt passed away. If you don't remember him, he is Norm from Cheers. He was in some other things, like he usually played cameos as Norm from Cheers, but he was also in the horror film House. That was the only thing that I had remembered when I looked over his filmography, but really great actor. You can check out Cheers on Paramount Plus right now if you want to get some remembrance. On lighter news, Sesame Street, we thought, was in peril after we heard that PBS's funding would be pulled from the government. But relax. So far, looks like we're going to be okay. Beforehand, the Warner Brothers Discovery Network, aka Max, would have Sesame Street programming on there, and they wouldn't have it released for PBS or available for PBS way later if the deal was still on. However, Max is starting to walk away from children's programming. They're taking a step back, and Netflix has stepped on in. It looks like they're going to be having PBS's Sesame Street new episodes streaming on the app. But also, there is one change from the HBO deal. The new episodes of Sesame Street on Netflix will also run on the same day and date of PBS and the PBS Kids app. So it's a win-win situation. A lot of people were a little worried that you'd need Netflix in order to watch Sesame Street or have that for their kids anyway, because the kids can't buy Netflix. The parents would have to buy Netflix. And the whole point of PBS is it's free programming for your kids to watch, and it could be educational. Luckily, you don't need Netflix, at least for now. If PBS is still going to be on the air, it will be available for both. I think that's pretty sick. On probably better news than what we would imagine. No one likes to hear about release date pushbacks, especially for the big MCU films that are in our lives, because, oh, how we love MCU films. Oh, how are they the only reason that any person actually goes to the movies anymore? But guess what? You may have to wait a little bit longer for both Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Looks like Marvel Studios is pushing back the release date of both of the films directed by the Russo brothers. Doomsday has moved from May 1st, 2026 to December 18th, while Avengers Secret Wars moved from May 7th, 2027, and moved down to December 17th, 2027. So basically, they're still going to be released a year apart, except this was going to start next year. It was going to be May 1st, 2026, Doomsday, then Spider-Man Brand New Day in July of the same year, all culminating for at least the saga Avengers Secret Wars in 2027 May. Looks like that ain't happening anymore. Instead, there's been no news about Spider-Man moving, but we're going to have Spider-Man first. So the next MCU film is Fantastic Four First Steps. A lot of numbers I'm throwing out at you. Fantastic Four First Steps is coming out later on this year. That's the only movie left of the year MCU-wise. The next one that we're going to see is next year, July 31st, Spider-Man Brand New Day. And a few months later in December is when we're getting Avengers Doomsday. And then the last film of the saga, so far anyway, will be a year from them. Then in 2027, that's Avengers Secret Wars. That was a mouthful, and I fucked it all up, so I apologize. How do you feel about this new change of release dates? I'm happy for it. I think that it's good. That means that they're trying to get their shit together, trying to figure out how exactly they're going to be releasing things on time. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm more excited about Spider-Man than I am about Avengers, because Spider-Man, there's a lot less for them to explain, at least I believe. But for Avengers, I feel like there's a lot of cleaning up they have to do, so I'm a little weary of it. I never played the video game, but Elden Ring was a pretty big video game, known as one of the most difficult video games known to man. They have announced they're going to make a movie adaptation of said video game with A24 and Alex Garland behind the camera. I've mentioned Alex Garland a shit ton of times on PopCorn Poppin. He's one of my favorite directors. I have not watched Warfare, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Civil War, which you can watch on Max, but Warfare you can rent for $20 right now. He also wrote Sunshine, which I highly recommend to rent for $4. He wrote and directed Ex Machina, which you can watch on Tubi, which is probably his most famous film. A lot of people love that one. But my personal favorite that he wrote and directed was Annihilation, which you can watch on Paramount+. So check those out if you want to get a feel of what his feel is going to bring to the Elden Ring video game adaptation film. Remember that movie Thanksgiving that I was always raving about? Well, guess what? We're going to get some more turkey based in stuff and violence from Eli Roth. Nell Verlaque, I think it's Verlaque. I think I put too much stank on it. She said, I think we'll be filming this year. I actually just saw Eli, and we're talking about some pop points, and so I am excited for it. I'm excited as well. If you don't remember, Thanksgiving is one of the only Thanksgiving horror films that you're ever going to see, and you can check it out on Netflix right now, but I would wait until the holiday season, either during October or right at the end of October or November 1st to get excited for the juicy Thanksgiving holiday. But Thanksgiving 2 may come out next year if they're thinking about filming this year. Hopefully so. And finally, for news, the Yellow Jackets television show that I have been so wary of is going to come back, which I guess is good. I just would rather hear the news of it ending with this next season, but they've been renewed for season 4. They had a 5-season plan before. It looks like they're going to kick it into gear again, with 4 not being the last one. That's not official news, but season 3 was apparently their most watched to date. That's a bummer for me because I think they're going to be dragging some shit along. Let's go to the comments before we continue. They better be fire, said Nova Kane Fowler, a.k.a. Nova Bird. Get it? Because of Fowler. Anyways, yes, I agree. The Avengers films best be fire. On fire. Hopefully they will be. All right, let's get back to the news. All right, so the new releases on television are as follows. Rick and Morty, the only new thing of television that I watched this week besides the ongoing TV shows that I've already introduced to the PopCorn Poppin' guide. It's the only new season that started. I just watched it earlier today. Recently, I reported, and it looks like I have it still written in here, that the new season episodes will premiere on Adult Swim Sunday nights at midnight, I believe. And I previously had said that Max will have them ready for all of your viewing pleasure, because who has Adult Swim anymore? You should, though. Adult Swim is dope, but I don't even. But I did watch the new episode. Anyways, this show is not going to be available for regular streaming outside of the Cartoon Network channel or Adult Swim app until September 1st, which the whole new season will drop on Max. So that's pretty much a pretty good give and take. It is a few months from now, but the show is going to last for a few months, so why not wait? Anyways, the season premiere was okay. They usually go way bigger in their season premieres. Their season premieres are usually like movies, and this one was a self-contained, high-concept thrill ride that was still a high concept that we have seen before. Like I said last week, the only thing that I'm wary of when it comes to the show is that they recently announced they're going to get more than 10 seasons. And I already thought 10 seasons was too much because this is such a high concept show with some crazy storytelling that we really enjoy because we get such great writing and it never fizzles out. But the more you do high concept, the less you're like giving yourself room to do something original. For instance, this episode by itself, if you didn't watch previous episodes, seems batshit crazy. But if you're a fan of the show, its technology and the type of hell that you would put your grandchildren in if you were Rick Sanchez and you knew the show before. So it wasn't that big of a surprise what they went through. Not to say it wasn't funny and it wasn't like engaging, but it seemed kind of mid, even though the concept itself is fucking crazy. It's just they've used this concept before. In any case, I'm going to keep watching the show. So far for this first episode, I can't, you know what? I'm going to make an agreement with myself. We will not give the season a full on Poppin review until we actually see the full season. So I'll just say that the first episode started mid. The other new shows that I did not watch because I'm not caught up on Big Mouth, but if you want to watch the entire series, including the new final season, it's all on Netflix right now. It's about teenage friends that find their lives upended by the wonders and horrors of puberty, especially when they see the imaginary puberty monsters. Also on Netflix is the new miniseries Sirens that stars Julianne Moore, Kevin Bacon, and Millie Alcock. Devin is concerned about her sister's unhealthy relationship with her new boss. I foresee this as not being something I'm interested in. If you like the kind of like mysterious, desperate housewives vibe, then this show's probably for you. I don't think it's for me. This seems more geared to like people with a glass of wine that just tuck their kids into sleep, or, you know, just anyone that isn't me. But I'm looking at the reviews online and they're not terrible, so that's good. Maybe the only thing that makes me interested is I like Julianne Moore a lot, but this just doesn't seem like it's my bag, baby. Also on TV right now are the shows that I've already told you about, but just a quick rundown of how the new episodes are going are Duster, which takes place in the 70s about a getaway driver that encounters a tenacious FBI agent who wants to take his crime family down. It's still excellent in tone and music, still really, really cool. We got Keith David that's not in it that much, but probably will be more on as the series progresses. But I recommend the show still. It's on HBO Max Thursday nights. Poker Face is still a really excellent anthology Mystery of the Week series that has awesome Natasha Lyonne. If you're not a fan of Natasha Lyonne, you're not going to be a fan of the show, but it's pretty wackadoo and funny. Not wackadoo spit, but wackadoo funny nonetheless. And I think the most talked about show that's out this week, their season finale, which had a huge cliffhanger, is Last of Us, which stars Joel and Ellie, a pair connected through the harshness of the world they live in, which is a futuristic post-apocalyptic nightmare. And they must endure the brutal circumstances and ruthless killers on a trek across a post-outbreak America. It stars Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal. I still love what they did. If you've watched the series, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but a lot of people are pissed off at the cliffhanger. I will tell you right now, it is exactly how the game did it. I think they only tweaked a few things of how things unraveled, but a quick death happens so quick, it's ridiculous. They did do one scene that was a little more in your face, but I'm glad they didn't take it a step further, and that involved someone that's pregnant. I won't say anything else. It's not who you think it is if you haven't watched the episode yet. Anyways, Poppin for sure. I can say that officially for this season. This show is Poppin. I will not give away spoilers, but I will say it's not as good as the first season, just like the second game is not as good as the first game. This is extremely close to the second game, and I applaud it. I think it did a great job. I think it's misunderstood for how much people dislike the season finale's cliffhanger. I highly, 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 highly recommend you to keep an eye out for PopCorn Poppin' special look at Last of Us with spoilers of the first game, half of the second game, and the first season and second season of Last of Us. So I'm going to go over the differences of the show compared to the video game, what worked, what didn't work, and why the show should still be watched, even though we lost a major character. So be on the eye for that. But you can watch the entire series yourself on HBO Max right now. Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV Plus is still a show I enjoy, with I think only 1 or 2 more episodes left on Apple TV Plus. You can catch that new episode on Friday, but it is about being fired in disgrace. A hedge fund manager resorts to stealing from his neighbors' homes in the affluent, like rich white people shit, Westmont Village, only to discover that the secrets hidden behind the wealthy facades might be more dangerous. I still enjoy the show a lot, even though right now with what's happening, you used to think that you're watching a show about a jewelry thief. he's still a burglar, but he's going through some shit right now that won't let him burgle. And I'd rather get back to the burglaring, and I don't think it's going to happen anymore this season. I do believe that it got renewed for a second season, which makes me excited. Having said that, I'd like this season to wrap up so I can see more John Hamm burglaring. And Mobland, I have not finished yet. I believe they have one more episode as well, Paramount Plus Fridays. Still has Tom Hardy, still has Pierce Brosnan, and still has Helen Mirren, the only person that's not phoning it in. Tom Hardy really is phoning it in, though. And new in theaters are a few that I have seen and only one that I haven't. One, Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake of a lonely Hawaiian girl befriending a runaway alien, helping to mend her fragmented family, is out in theaters right now. From what I'm seeing online, people are happy. So happy, in fact, that they maybe not destroyed Tom Cruise in the theaters. Yeah, pretty good ratings. Rotten Tomatoes, not that well, but box office wise, I should have had this part prepared for you guys, but let's just see. Ooh. So it looks like Lilo and Stitch debuted at a massive 183 million. Mission Impossible scores series best was 77 million. Really? That's their best? That's crazy. The reason I never do box office segments on Popcorn Poppin' is that I find it very confusing. I'm terrible with numbers. That's why I do this show on such a low budget. But we are doing better, aren't we, fam? In the club, we all fam. In the club, we are all family. Anyways, sorry to get off track. So yeah, I hear it does really well. I don't know how good it is. If you've seen it, make sure you comment on the video like right now, because I'm gonna head to the comments here in a second. Let me know if you're gonna go see it or if you're gonna wait for streaming. I think it looks cute. I will tell you, I wish that we had seen it. Even though I'm not a Lilo and Stitch fan, I'm not gonna go out and see this. I'm not a big enough fan of Lilo and Stitch. But from what I've seen of the trailer, it looks very different in a good way. I think most people want to see a shot-by-shot remake. I like when live action takes some liberties, but better not take too many liberties. We'll see. All right. So Fountain of Youth, the film that I was excited for, and I'm going to start telling you, and I did not watch last week to gauge if I told you about my gauging reaction of watching the trailer to this movie. It has everything that makes a good film. It's an adventure story about two estranged siblings that partner on a global heist to find the mythological Fountain of Youth. They must use their knowledge of history to follow clues on an adventure that will change their lives and possibly lead to immortality. That sounds sick, especially when you find out that it stars John Krasinski, Natalie Portman, and Domhnall Gleeson. And it's directed by Guy Ritchie, one of the best directors ever. Having said that, I watched the trailer, and I'm like, I don't know, this doesn't look that funny. And they're definitely going for like look at how fun we are in this adventure with a lot of mummy vibes. Not mommy vibes, mummy, the mummy with Brendan Fraser, you fool. I was very excited for this, and me and Roxy started the other night, and we were just on our phones for the first half of the film, and I shut it off. I'm like, I'll watch the second half some other time. I think Natalie Portman should stay away from comedies or just needs to choose better. However, maybe it's the direction, because Guy Ritchie seems like he phoned it in. I think that Guy Ritchie doesn't work as hard on a movie unless he writes it as well. And this movie just didn't. This ray of light is driving me nuts. I think I'm just going to open the blinds. I almost fell. Is that too bright? Oh, God. Ah! The fountain! I found the fountain! Oh, I must have immortality! Oh. All right, let's close the blinds. Jesus Christ. That's way too fucking... Oh, man. Probably I'm talking about the Fountain of Youth. God's like, how dare you? Oh, yeah, because now the ray's gone. Thank you, Ray of Light, for waking me up. Hi, guys. Fountain of Youth, I would say not popping, but I didn't finish the film, so maybe the film gets way better in the second half. But watch the first 20 minutes and argue with me about it not really giving you a pulse. The action scenes are mid. The bickering that John Krasinski and Natalie Portman do, although I dig that they didn't make them a couple, I like that they made them brother and sister. I don't think they look anything alike besides them being white. And John Krasinski, man, he's charming and he does the thing a lot, which is cool. I love John, don't get me wrong. And Natalie, it doesn't seem like she's not trying. It just they're both trying to a certain point. I'm not seeing it above the meter. You know what I mean? But like I said, you can check it out yourself and let me know by watching on Apple TV Plus right now. If I had to, I can't give it an official rating, but from what I've seen, it's I don't want to give it a burnt medium because nothing's terrible about it. It's just it's not there's nothing special about it. And I love Guy Ritchie. I feel bad. Fear Street, Prom Queen, surprisingly better than Fountain of Youth, even though. So when I gave a forecast about when the It girls competing for Prom Queen at Shadyside High start to disappear, a gutsy outsider discovers she's in for one hell of a prom night. This is based off of the R.L. Stine books that aren't Goosebumps, and this came out on Netflix Friday. I forecasted it to be Poppin', medium with butter, and I said that without watching a trailer. I really just like that there's a new slasher movie that's out that takes place, I want to say in the 80s. It feels like the 80s. And it takes place during prom night. I mean, the best slashers are usually involving high school students because it's like, that's usually just the trope that happens, right? And prom night's a huge thing for high school students. So why not have a slasher be slashing people literally during prom in the halls and in the gymnasium, excuse me. So I dug it. I dug what I saw. It's just like the story itself, I did not care about. It's these girls that are vying to be prom queen. I think they could have had a little more fun with that. However, this is based off of a R.L. Stine book. And I haven't read R.L. Stine since I was a kid. I'm sure that his writing maybe doesn't reflect as great as it does today or as like interesting plot-wise. Having said that, it was more interesting than Fountain of Youth, but it is definitely for a younger audience. The kill scenes were decent. So I had about 15 minutes left. I found out one secret, but I didn't find out the second secret yet. I will let you know if that other secret is inclining me to tell you more about the movie. But besides that, if you want to watch a slasher, I'd say you can, oh my God, my neck. I can say you can wait till October for this. It's not something you need to watch today, and it's not going to raise your pulse. If I had to give it, I think I saw enough of it to give it an official rating. I will give it a medium. Nothing spectacular about it. But there is decent kill scenes. And the kill scenes happen, you're like, oh shit. And yeah, all right. I don't want to say it in circles. I think you might dig it. Just you don't need to watch it. You'd really have to have nothing to do. Really. But Mickey 17 is something that I always recommend to people if you want to watch a story about a disposable employee that is sent out on a human expedition to colonize the ice world Niflheim. That's right, it takes place in the future. After one iteration of said employee dies, a new body is regenerated with most of his memories intact. Dope film starring Robert Pattinson with a very annoying voice that you get used to and learn to love. And also stars another Robert Pattinson that's a little more on the darker side that Robert Pattinson's acting career is used to. And it also has Stephen Yeun and Naomi Ackie from Blind Twice. Very good movie. I gave it a large, perhaps with butter. I can't quite remember, but it's still great. We started it the other night, and saying that you start a movie and didn't finish it usually sounds bad, but it was Roxy fell asleep, and it was late. Maybe it wasn't even late. Maybe she was just tired. Either ways, it's a really good movie. I'm going to finish it at least. And I recommend you watch it too. If you're a fan of Parasite, check that out. Parasite's a great film, I believe, on Hulu, but it's the same director, so check it out if you'd like. All right, and before we get into our next film, let's look at some comments. Okay. Jordan didn't care for Fountain of Youth. Yeah, I couldn't even finish it. He gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Yeah. So my rating system is basically out of 5, and I gave it a 2 instead of a 2.5. I think if you do that rating right. It's a little under 2.5. I gave it I forgot what I gave it already. Oh, a medium burnt. 3.5 out of 5. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. And Fear Street. Oh, you just said it. 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, medium. I'd say I gave it you gave it a little higher of a grade than I did. And Jordan also didn't watch Mickey 17 because it reminded him of the Tom Cruise movie. Oh, The Mummy. I'm assuming is what you're talking about. Oh wait, no. You're talking about Oblivion or Minority Report, one of the two. No, Oblivion. Oblivion does have a similar storyline as well. This is way better. Oblivion's kind of boring. It's not terrible, but it wasn't like this leans into cloning. Oblivion has a cloning storyline that is nothing spectacular. And this one's way funnier and a way more enjoyable. So I would highly recommend to not think of Oblivion because this also has aliens in it and that's fun. What they do with it is fun, surprising. And you're talking about Edge of Tomorrow. A little bit, but that's a small part of it. I promise you. It's a very small part of it. Check it out. Trust me. And Edge of Tomorrow is awesome, by the way. But check out Mickey 17. Trust me. They will definitely show him dying and coming back a few times and basically some montage scenes. And that's not me giving away anything. That's the storyline. But then we reach Mickey 17 and maybe he doesn't want to die. That's all I'll say. Check it out. It's on Max right now. All right, y'all. This is it. The movie that we've all been waiting for. And by we all, I mean me. I've been waiting for this for quite some time, even though I was very skeptical about it. It finally came. And what was that movie that finally came? I'll tell you what finally come. The movie that finally came to theaters that I have been waiting for a little while is Mission Impossible 8. Whoops. The movie I've been waiting for a while is Mission Impossible 8. The Final Reckoning, which you can watch in theaters right now. What is The Final Reckoning, you may ask? To give you an official plot line, Ethan Hunt and the IMF team race against time to find the Entity, a rogue artificial intelligence that can destroy mankind. So, what should we do first? I'm going to give you the pros. Pros! Pom Klementieff is back. All right, she's back and she's badass. If they would have gotten rid of her, I would have been very upset. She was my favorite part of Dead Reckoning Part 1. So stupid that they fell back on that. Anyways, she was great in Dead Reckoning, aka Mission Impossible 7, the one before this. I'm glad that they brought her back. I was hoping that they'd bring back other people, but still happy that they brought her back and they gave her some more ass to kick. We got we have a character from the first movie that they brought back as well. I thought that was a lot of fun. You'll be very surprised to see who it is. When I saw him, I recognized him right away. And as a Mission Impossible fan, I was like, oh, this is really cool that you guys are bringing it full circle. And I've never seen this actor before in anything besides Mission Impossible 1. So when I saw him in this Mission Impossible, I was like, oh, wow, you're a really good actor. I'm surprised you're not in more things besides Mission Impossible 1 and this one. But it's pretty cool they brought him back. They bring back a lot of other storylines as well. Like, they will show flashbacks of other films and show how those flashbacks connect to the final film, which is a lot of fun. And the way they did it in the beginning wasn't overzealous. And it made you kind of nostalgic of the Mission Impossible franchise. The submarine scene is fantastic. I will say fantastic. It's fantastic because it was scary. If you're in theaters to watch this film, you know what I'm talking about. If you saw Dead Reckoning, the last film, you know that the part of the Entity that's very important is in this submarine. And you know how the last movie ended with showing the submarine. You know that Ethan Hunt's going to have to go to that submarine. That entire sequence is pretty well done. And it's done so with a lot of CGI, but also a lot of diving. And it looks scary and it's pretty sick. It's one of the best parts of the film. It's one of the only action sequences as well. Other good scenes of this are the final stunt that involves an airplane and him having no wires. It's fucking insane. It's the craziest stunt of the Mission Impossible franchise, in my opinion. And it goes on for a pretty long time. And I will say, it was pretty fucking sick. Well done, Tom Cruise. Great final stunt.
Great way to close out the series with this stunt. The crew behind him have a fight scene that they cross-cut with Ethan Hunt finding someone on a different submarine. And it's cool to see his crew fighting these gangsters like Russian spies, basically. They're fighting them while fire's blazing, and they're helping each other out by throwing knives and throwing guns and missing, getting their asses whooped, but also whooping ass at the same time. Pom Clementif. It was dope. It was fun. That scene was dope. And the other good part of this movie was Angela Bassett's character coming back in a new regal role that makes sense if you watch the franchise, and it makes sense why she made it there. And she has one very good scene towards the end that involves her pressing a button or not pressing a button. And it is a bit suspenseful. And I dug it because it had other characters that seemed kind of meh before, but when they're all in this really fucking serious situation, featuring Nick Offerman, by the way, it's kind of scary and it works out. So, with all those pros, I'm going to kick it over to Bucky. Bucky, how you been, man? Doing good? I need you to tell me, my friend, after all of these years, after 7 films, what do we think of the final installment of Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning? Oh, not poppin'. But why? We waited 7 movies. I'm sorry, this is number 8. Why wasn't this movie poppin'? I'm gonna need a drink for this. I wish that I drank, because I needed a drink watching this movie. The biggest con of all is Dead Reckoning's worst part. We'll get into Dead Reckoning in a little bit. But if there's one thing that I mentioned in my review of Dead Reckoning, is the dialogue is fucking awful. We're still dealing with the MacGuffin of... There's always a MacGuffin in every Mission Impossible, and we're dealing with a new MacGuffin in this film. But not really. It's from the last film. It's still the entity. We heard the word entity 752,000 times in Dead Reckoning. In Final Reckoning, we hear it 752 million times. It's Exposition City, folks. And if you don't remember what exposition is, let me get you a finalized definition. It is, in storytelling, the introduction of background information necessary for understanding the story, characters, and setting. Now, to be honest, a lot of action movies, big budget action movies, are trying to bring in the audience members of every demographic, but specifically those who need to be spoon-fed what they're watching. This movie is 3 hours long. 2 hours and 20 minutes of it is them talking about the fucking entity the entire time. Dead Reckoning was a lot more of them talking about the key to opening the entity. This is about the entity. It is so goddamn dull. It's not clever. It's not cool. It's literally every cast of characters in every scene, because there are several casts of characters, different groups of characters. They're all trying to discuss what is going to happen with the entity. What are we going to do with the entity? What's the plan to do with the entity? And they finish each other's sentences. For instance, I wish I made a video to this. This can, where's this can? And do you know where he got that can? He got it from the store down the street. The store down the street that was closed down 4 years ago, but it wasn't really closed down because the store was never there at all, because it was all a figment of our imagination. And like, oh my God, but it's not like figment of imagination, but you get the point. It's them finishing each other's sentences, and it's the same goddamn scene over and over and over and over and over again. Plus Ethan Hunt is supposed to be like some sort of god in this. He makes himself Neo in the Matrix. There's a scene where he literally talks to the entity, and it's so fucking dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's basically Tom Cruise trying to tell the audience to not trust AI. Don't trust AI. Stay away from AI, because AI will destroy Hollywood specifically. It'll destroy a lot of things too. It is a very dangerous thing. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but this movie does get into the politics of it, literally. And it is, it's just so annoying. Like, dog, I get it, but I came here to watch you do some crazy shit. And you don't have to do crazy shit. You could just fake the crazy shit like you do in some of your movies, as long as you give me action scenes. But you don't give me action scenes. You give me 2 or 3 action scenes surrounded by this garbage. Oh my God. Now, one thing I must mention is Popcorn Poppin' is not a show where I want to bash on movies, but I will be very sincere when I say that this movie was one of the most disappointing movies ever. I wasn't too surprised after watching Dead Reckoning that this was a possibility. I was just hoping that it wouldn't happen. They changed the title from Dead Reckoning Part 2 to Final Reckoning, and they pushed back the release date of this for what I assumed was, oh, people didn't like us doing this shitty shit in our movie. Let's cut back on that and give them more of what they want. I rewatched all of the Mission Impossibles, and I'm going to tell you everything that's great about Mission Impossibles and tell you everything that's wrong with this one. What else is wrong with this one? Exposition City, we already went over, but the biggest problem of all is the lack of fun, the lack of action scenes. I'm trying to go see an action scene where story is secondary. Dead Reckoning and Fallout, the story isn't that great. Really, most of the movies, the story isn't that great, but that's okay. Who fucking cares? It's an action movie. We're coming to watch action. When you're using a story that is mirroring a real life a little bit, like AI, it's not much of an escape as well. It's kind of just a repetitive thing. A lot of movies are about the dangers of AI, which is fine, whatever. If you're into that and you want to go see that, I see why you would want to. But to just spend 2.5 hours talking about it instead of giving me what I bought my ticket for, it upsets me. It's 3 hours long. It is 2 hours too long. And everyone looks old. I understand that people are aging and this is the final one, but man, yo, I love people age. I'm not going to judge you, but you know, people look old in this. And it was just way too serious. It was the movie was way too serious. I want fun. Why do you have to end on such a serious note? Make it half serious and half fun. Like Dead Reckoning still had some fun scenes, especially his magic. But this wasn't magical. So I'm sorry. My final score of this is on the Pop-O-Meter is a small popcorn. I didn't give it burnt, even though it sounds like I really hated the movie. But again, the submarine scene, the final stunt, and that's really it. And the closure, I guess. Like it's closure. Especially because of one scene where Ethan walks away with something that's like, oh shit, that's interesting. If there's one person in the world that I don't think will use that thing, it's you. But I was bummed. And the final thing I'll say about this film before we rank all the Mission Impossibles is where to watch it. Now, if you want to be part of the Dolby experience and see a really cool, fantastic, seat rumbling submarine scene, if you want to hear about the entity talked about for 3 hours nonstop, go to the movie theater. Fine. But wait for streaming. In my opinion, it'll take you probably a few sit downs to finish it in its entirety if you're going to stream it, especially because of how ungodly long it is. But what I would have rather have seen this from the comfort of my own home. I'm glad that I saw it in theaters because I didn't want to hear other people's opinions. I wanted to make my own. And granted, I do have a big screen TV and a sound bar, so action films are still super fun at home, especially when there's a significant amount of action scenes. But this one doesn't have a significant amount, so I recommend watching this at home. But I will note that Roxy Hart suggests to watch it in theaters because you're stuck at the theater and you'll force yourself to finish it. You can't pause a movie at the movie theater. The Dolby shakes the seats and keeps you more engaged than you would be at home. So I agree with that you're more engaged in the theater. You're forced to watch it. But if you're at the theater, I'll be honest. I looked around and no one was doing I lied. No. I saw people going, oh God, not this, but like, but me and Roxy were like, oh man, it was just so much. Anyways, go to the theater, if you want and make your own decision if you'd like. Before we rank the rest, let's see what else. Jordan said he's going to give Mickey 17 a shot. He loves Mission Impossible. Watched it for free the other nights. He thought it was good closure. It was so exciting. No, it wasn't. All right, I won't say definitively that you are wrong, Jordan, but you are out of your fucking mind. It was not the best. You are out of your mind. Oh my God. Ugh, you're crazy. I love you, Jordan, but that's insane, man. It's not one of the best. I'll tell you which ones are the best in a second, and I'll give you reasons. And after I'm done, I'm going to go back to the chat, and you let me know if you disagree with why I think that this is one of the worst ones ever. The stunt-wise, it is one of the best. The stunt is the best stunt of the series. But man, yes, they did want to tie it together. I'd say it was a bit too late. I'll explain later, but Fallout, I believe, should have been the last one. Jordan gave this one a 4.5 out of 5. That's crazy, but that's good. Good for you. It's like a Lord of the Rings director's cut. It is. It was just 3 hours too long. And yes, I do agree. It was exciting to have closure. The closure is why I didn't give it a small burnt. If it wasn't for the 7 other installments and me being excited to see another one, then I probably would have thought differently. So Jordan thinks this movie was a 4.5 out of 5 and one of the best films in the entire Mission Impossible franchise, which I do disagree, but who knows, maybe there are other reasons why this one doesn't deserve to be in the spot that it's in. Let's go over Ethan Hunt's Impossible Mission adventures one by one, starting with, in my opinion, the Popcorn Poppy's opinion of the worst, working its way up to the best. Starting with number 8. What is the number 8 worst Mission Impossible film to date? Or ever, because there's no more. That is Mission Impossible 8, The Final Reckoning. It is the worst mission. I hated it so much for all the reasons mentioned before. And those reasons alone are why. It has lack of action. There's literally 2.5 hours of talking, and there's 20 minutes of action. It was way too long. It did not need to be 3 hours long. It could have maybe done 2 hours, but they could have cut out 2 hours of this. Way too much exposition talking about the entity and AI, and a lot of build up to the final installment, including Dead Reckoning, which is a super lead into this film. Basically, Mission Impossible 7 and Mission Impossible 8 are 2 parts of one film, whilst every other Mission Impossible had a beginning, middle, and end, where there wasn't really much of a cliffhanger for any of them. Dead Reckoning has a final left, and that is this film. But this film is also closing up all of the rest of the films, and it constantly reminds you of that by showing you the other great times that Ethan Hunt whooped ass and took names. But is not the final installment, is not the proper final installment, in my opinion, of a high-octane action fun-filled film franchise, but it did result in a crazy-ass stunt that's probably the craziest, in fact, but it was surrounded by, in my opinion, lazily, excruciatingly dull plot development. He went too hard on being the one, on being the god. Literally, the entity calls him the one. Ugh. Ethan, you're dope. Tom Cruise, you're dope. And like, if you're in the theater and you were like, what'd you think? I'm sorry. What'd you think? What'd you think? Be like, hey, man, I love your movies. What'd you think of this one? I love your movies. I saw you end it, and that was a crazy final scene, and I loved that submarine scene. I'm glad you loved it. I love this film franchise. I wouldn't tell him the truth, because he may be the one. Because for him to still be alive after doing specifically that crazy-ass shit, I'm not going to tell him the truth. Are you going to tell him the truth? I ain't telling him the truth. Anyways, this was disappointing, and this is why it was number 8. Now, moving on to the other Mission Impossible that I also disliked. Mission Impossible 7, Dead Reckoning, Part 1. The pro is the car chase scene between these two in particular. I love Haley Atwell being introduced into the film franchise, even though I'm more of a fan of Rebecca Ferguson. I think also I've seen more of Rebecca Ferguson stuff, and No shade on Haley Atwell. It's just Rebecca Ferguson, I think, is a well-developed character. Had a lot more similarities to Ethan than Haley Atwell's character. But I did like her addition to it because she's not a spy and she's forced to do all of these situations. A lot more in Final Reckoning as well, which honestly I should have added as a pro to Final Reckoning. She's constantly having to do what each person does. She has to do action scenes that Ethan's done, and she has to do Simon Pegg shit that Simon Pegg does. Benji. Pom Clementif's joining the squad is super dope as well. But besides that, it is fairly boring. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. And it is specifically because of the talk of the entity. And like, there's one scene where they're all talking and they're like a bunch of stars. Should I say like B-rated stars where you're like, oh, I remember that guy. I don't know his name. I remember that person. I don't remember his name. But they're like, oh, you're saying that it is what you're saying it is? The most untraceable thing you'll ever find. And if it's ever hacked into, it'll destroy the world, not just America, and not just the world, but the universe. And not just the universe, but the shut the fuck up. And show me Tom Cruise going through some shit. Physically, not talkingly. This was more fun than Dead Reckoning. I'm sorry. This was more fun than Final Reckoning, though. It was. But there was a lot of bullshit. Now, the rest of the Mission Impossibles are fun, and I do enjoy them. But what is number 6? Number 6 was Mission Impossible 1. The director, Brian De Palma. If you don't remember who Brian De Palma is, he did Carrie, Snake Eyes, Scarface. Great director that usually does mystery films. He doesn't usually do action films. And if you rewatch the first one, I've had a lot of friends say that the first one isn't their favorite, that they thought it was kind of boring. It's because it wasn't meant to be like this high octane film ride. What am I trying to say? Whatever. It's not high octane. It is a mystery. It's a spy mystery. I thought it was dope. And the third act was fucking crazy. It's just, it wasn't the entire thing. This isn't the Mission Impossible that we all want to go see. We're not really going to go out and see it for the mystery. We're just going out to see him jump from a helicopter to a train. That's what we want to see. And to see some suspenseful robbing as well, like in this. There's always a MacGuffin in all of these films. In Final Reckoning and in Final Reckoning is the entity. In Dead Reckoning, it's the keys to get to the entity. And in Mission Impossible 1, it is the knock lists, which is featured the very iconic scene of him breaking into Langley, the CIA headquarters. Super dope, and it is the best mystery of all of these films. It's just not, to me, what Mission Impossible will eventually be all about. Something that is the best conclusion, in my opinion, that they really should have left it at was Mission Impossible 5 Fallout, aka the 5th best mission in my book. Excuse me. Now, the best crazy ass stunts. This is already where we're getting crazy ass Tom Cruise doing some crazy ass shit. In the end of Mission Impossible 1, we have a CGI scene of him jumping from a helicopter to a plane, or him on top of a train doing some crazy ass shit. In this, we have him literally jumping out of a plane 25,000 feet in the sky, and they only had one opportunity each day to shoot it because they had to do it during the magic hour right before the sun sets. And they had a specific 3-minute window. He jumped 106 times to get 3 long takes of this sequence down. That's commitment, and it's dope. The scene looked dope too, but it looked almost fake. Now, of course, they added in like a lightning strike to the villain, but it's neither here or there. This still looked sick, and it does show his commitment. But there's also other shit that happens in it that are crazy as hell too. For instance, we all know and seen that he jumps from rooftop to rooftop. In this part, he breaks his ankle, and they actually keep the shot in there. Ooh, it's hard to watch. You can watch the footage right now without watching the movie online. I highly recommend to not do it. But in the final product, you see him pull himself up and limp his way off screen. That is because he literally just broke his ankle there. or he's I don't know. He was off of it they had to shut down production for a little while because of it. But it was super dope and shows his commitment, and it had some high octane thrill rides. Thrill ride is what I meant. And what I thought was the craziest stunt of the entire series, it's definitely the second craziest. There's this scene of him with no wires, 2,000 feet in the air, holding onto a helicopter, and then falling from this top of the rope down to that little circular load thing. He literally falls down and catches himself. No wires, just him doing some crazy ass shit. I didn't think he could top it, but he did top that in Final Reckoning. So if we're going by stunts alone, Final Reckoning wins that one. But this was second. Now, why is it so far down the list? I mean, we did have a pretty decent villain, aka Superman, playing a villain, which I thought was a pretty cool direction. And we have Rebecca Ferguson back to kick ass. And we have this awesome bathroom scene. I thought this bathroom scene was maybe the coolest part. But we had Alec Baldwin return. We had a lot of crazy shit come back. And we had a lot of fun. It was a perfect ending because they started to bring back all the things about the previous Mission Impossibles. Helicopter climbing, Mission Impossible 1. There is a motorcycle chase scene that we had for Mission Impossible 2. And Mission Impossible 3, I don't think there's any scaling of the buildings, but you see where I'm getting at. Also, Henry Cavill goes full villain by having like a scarred face towards the end of the movie. And that's usually like a super villain move. And if you're going to have a super villain, have it in the end of the film franchise. That's why I believe this should have been the last one. I thought it would have been a great ending. And it would have had Ethan have a decently happy ending. I think it would have worked out. And I really think they should have ended it here. But instead, they didn't. Now, what is fourth? Well, that's where the numbers go a little awry. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Fallout is Mission Impossible 6. I fucked up that number. So I hope you know that. Too bad I can't change it. Anyways, number 5 is the fourth best mission, and that is Rogue Nation. And if you don't remember which one that is the one where he does some crazy hanging out of an airplane. He loves hanging out of airplanes, doesn't he? This one was probably the most televised one because, and I do think he was strapped to the side of it, but this shot, if you watch even in the trailer, you're like, that has to be fake. It isn't, and it looks painful on his face. He's constantly moving his face because it's going really, really fast. Woo! Crazy shit. But a lot of fun. The fun that you go for when you're buying a ticket to Ethan Hunt movies. We also have probably my favorite scene, and that's the opera scene. It's not just because you see Rebecca Ferguson's leg. It is specifically because you have no dialogue, suspense, and an opera soundtrack while Ethan has to fight someone twice his size, which is usual in Tom Cruise movies, but you never really notice. And this one, he looks up and you're like, wow, that guy's huge. Like, is he really huge? Maybe he's normally sized because Tom Cruise is kind of short. But no, this was my favorite scene, and it probably had my favorite car chase sequence where every shot is Tom Cruise actually driving and Simon Pegg actually in the passenger seat. And it seems like some real fucking driving, him crashing into some shit every once in a while. That might be really Tom Cruise, like not being the perfected stunt driver. But if you watch a lot of behind the scenes footage of interviews with stunt people and producers and whatnot, you'll see them say like, no, Tom Cruise is better than me. It's just he has better insurance, which is kind of true, but probably not great insurance because he's fucking nuts, dude. But this one was super fun as well. Why is it better than Fallout? The story was less ridiculous. There was a lot less ridiculous lines in it. And I did like the Syndicate, the introduction of the Syndicate, which Fallout ties up pretty well. But I like the Syndicate in this, and I liked that they brought Max's daughter to the fold, which you'd have to see the movie to see. But yeah, I just really like this car chase scene, and I really like the opera sequence as well. What are the top 3 Mission Impossibles then? That's really hard to say. Or is it? It really isn't. Number 3 is Mission Impossible 2. This was very hard for me to rate my top 3, and it might change on any other day. But Mission Impossible 2 is probably the most visually ridiculous film of them all. But judging by how like lackluster the first one is when it came to the action in general, the second one really brings the action and a lot of ridiculous dub shots. It's John Woo. John Woo's just ridiculous, man. He's just ridiculous. Also, it's worth noting that in Rogue Nation, we started with a different director that will direct the rest of the films. Yet in this is the second film, and this is where we start doing different directors. This is the beginning of Ethan Hunt on a new ride with a different director in the first 5 films. Number 2 is John Woo, who's a wild fucking director. Watch Face Off. He's a wild director. It's not just Nicolas Cage screaming. There's a lot of other elements to enjoy. But we got John Woo. We got crazy motorcycle driving. We got him trying to get the Chimera virus. And it's just a lot of fun, a lot of slow-mo scenes, a lot of more Dutch angles that Christopher McQuarrie brings back in the Reckonings. And we have Tandaway Newton, who completely disappears from the movies. And that's one thing I really got annoyed about. However, Ethan Hunt starts out in these movies as a sort of American James Bond. And James Bond usually has a different girl in every film, except for the Daniel Craig ones. So I love this movie, but I think I love the other ones more, specifically because the storyline is much better in the other 2 Mission Impossibles. And this one's just very ridiculous. It is still why I go to the goddamn movies. Top 2. What is the second best Mission Impossible, in my opinion? I'll tell you what it is. Mission Impossible 3 is the second best Mission Impossible. You got J.J. Abrams and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Need I really say more? The style is so different. Mission Impossible 2 style is so different from the first one with Brian De Palma. It's more action-y, more slow-mo, more like church-like action hero shit. This one is J.J. Abrams, stylistic lens flare, shaky camera, dark colorization, and great partnership specifically between Ethan Hunt and Ving Rhames' characters, who have been on these wild rides together. And you get a lot of Ving Rhames in this, and that's what I really dig. But Philip Seymour Hoffman is 1000% the best villain. The only things that I didn't like were we didn't get enough of Kerry Russell. She's only in one sequence, and it's a great sequence, but I was kind of hoping for more of her. However, this is J.J. Abrams basically resurrecting her career from Felicity. And we have him trying to get the rabbit's foot, which the Final Reckoning does do a good job including, because when I rewatched this film before seeing the Final Reckoning, Dead Reckoning introduces the entity as this AI system that can destroy all of civilization. You never know exactly what the rabbit's foot is, but Simon Pegg's Benji character explains in Mission Impossible 3 what he thinks could be the rabbit's foot, but we're never definitively told what it is. But he describes a machine that's very similar to the entity, and they discuss that commonality in Final Reckoning, and I thought that that was pretty cool. But I liked in this film that we didn't quite know what it is, and it's mostly about the ride, which is very J.J. Abrams, his mystery box thing. You can Google it if you want, but basically it's not about what's inside the box. It's about the mystery that surrounds it that makes it more interesting. Very Tarantino, what's in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction-esque. But yeah, I love this movie so much. We got a new superpower from Ethan Hunt that I don't think he uses in the Final Reckoning, but that's his lip reading. I like that they gave him a superpower. I thought that was pretty cool. But it is the best film mostly because we don't have him very often, but when we do have him, we have what Roxy describes as a menacing presence. Menacing, kind of scary presence that you don't need him yelling to do. Just him walking around is like scary. But RIP to one of the best, Philip Seymour Hoffman. But what is the best Mission Impossible? Well, if you paid attention, you know that due to the process of elimination, there can only be one. That is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I I'm surprised myself. When I first saw this movie, I'm like, I don't know. I don't love this that much because this was Brad Bird. Brad Bird had only done The Incredibles before this. Did he direct anything else? Oh, he did do John Carter, I believe, and The Iron Giant and Ratatouille, I'm sorry, maybe he didn't do John Carter. That's my bad. Anyways, we know him for The Incredibles. So that is a pretty cool idea. Let's get someone who's done one of the best spy animated films ever. Let's bring him into the fold to live action. And he just made it all exactly what I want for Mission Impossible. So I wanted a new style from each movie like we did. We had Brian De Palma's mystery from the first. We had John Woo's ridiculous slow motion action scenes from 2. We have the artsy, great filmmaking that we have in 3. I think 3 is like the best film, but it's not quite the best Mission Impossible compared to all of the Mission Impossibles. And really the deciding factor of how the Mission Impossibles are going to be from here on out. Every movie after this, besides The Final Reckoning, is a similarity to Ghost Protocol. And that is just a lot of fun, baby. And the best part of it is that there's always something going wrong in this one. And I think that's pretty good storytelling, where you got a plan, you're professionals, you have a plan. You're all kind of new, though, too, except for Ethan Hunt. Benji went from behind the computer guy to a field agent. Jeremy Renner, who has a secret past, is known as just a bodyguard, but decides to help them out, and he's fucking scared to have Benji having float in the air for him. You'll understand if you watch it. And we have Paula Patton, who's an excellent addition, who's apparently new to being in control of a team, a squad, if you will, which we see her do with Josh Holloway in the beginning of the film, but she failed her first mission that was on her watch. And her second mission is to clean up the pieces. And she does some badass shit, and we see her nervous through some scenes as well. But I truly believe that Paula Patton brought a lot to the table with this movie when it is seeing a field agent trying to right what's wrong, trying not to kill an asset, but also get a little bit of revenge too. And it's just the best, man. Everything that they tried to do, every plan that they had, it went awry. They're like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Oh shit. This person showed up early. Oh shit. There's a sandstorm coming. Oh shit. The mask making machine isn't working. How are we going to do this? No masks. No masks? Sorry, Simon Pegg, aka Benji. No masks. There was so much adjustment that the characters had to do last second, making the already impossible mission even more impossible seconds before executing. That is what I want to see in a Mission Impossible film. And that's why Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I probably spelt it wrong. Come on, dude. Protocol is the best Mission Impossible of all the Mission Impossibles. If you agree, be sure to let me know. If you disagree, be sure to let me know. What's your favorite? Be sure to let me know. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I onto something? Be sure to let me know. And if you disagree, you're wrong. No, you're not wrong. I think that there's a lot of ways you can shuffle around the order of which ones are the best and which ones are the worst. But I will stand by my 1, 2, and 3. Not necessarily in that order, but I stand by that the top 3 are in no order, but my particular order. Number 1, Ghost Protocol. Number 2, I already forgot. Number 2, Mission Impossible 3. And number 3, Mission Impossible 2. Now, let's head over to the comments. Jordan, I'm just going to assume that you were thoroughly pissed off at the movie itself being The Final Reckoning. That was the rating of the film. I never said that that's what I wanted as a ranking for the franchise. I read a 4.5 because I just wanted to have closure. Yeah, I understand that. Ghost Protocol! ! I feel you. As closure, I felt it was unnecessary for a lot of the talking, but after hearing your review and listening to you explain thoroughly, I don't like it at all now. Oh, man. I'm sorry. I've had that. See, that's one thing about this show that makes me go like, should I do this? Because I don't want to ruin reviews for movies. or ruin opinions of for others for movies. Don't. You're right. I'm right. I'm the popcorn poppy. But no, yeah. I hope that you still like it, though. I don't want to convince people a movie that they don't like isn't good. I just want to convince them why it could be better. That's really what I'm trying to accomplish. So I kind of feel bad. The first one is his favorite. I understand. The first one used to be my favorite because it is like the most filmmaky one, you know? It is the most mysterious one. And if you love it, you'll love Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes in particular. And I love that film. I agree. The first one shouldn't count because it's so different. The Ankle Breaker was the worst. My personal favorite, Mission Impossible, not ratings based, anything. My personal favorite. Personal favorite, Mission Impossible, not ratings with stunts involved. Ghost Protocol, yeah. It was so good. Yeah, you're right. That's cool. Just to confirm, and I'm going to read one more comment, basically, in case you're watching, I will always read the comments, but I read them after I'm done with each section. So feel free to comment. It's just going to take me a second to go over them. But thank you for saying no reason to be sorry. Robin Floyd agrees that Ghost Protocol was the best. It kept my attention from beginning to end, which is saying a lot. I can attest to that for Roxy. Even though, you know, Roxy, you give yourself a lot of guff about not finishing films, but you finish a lot of movies, especially more than the regular public. That's why I'm with you. That's why you're my queen. But, yeah. So I'm glad that the people that usually watch my show agree it's Ghost Protocol. Oh, no, I feel you, Jordan. You can keep commenting. Just no one get upset with me when I don't answer their questions for a little while. All right, our final segment before we wrap it all up. What's coming out next week? Bring Her Back. Looks fucking scary. I ain't gonna front. I'm not very excited to go watch this one. I love horror, but this one looks really heavy, like too heavy. Just the poster alone, I'm like, I don't know, man. But let's see. Bring Her Back is about a brother and sister who witness a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. Now, if you don't know, Bring Her Back is directed by a pair of twins that are named Danny and Michael Philippou. I don't know how to pronounce their names very well. But if you watch them in interviews, they're a lot of fun. They're funny. And they have a pretty good YouTube channel called Raka Raka, and it is about them making short films and also goes a lot behind the scenes, specifically of their first film, which is Not Tell No One. What the fuck? Talk to Me, Tell No One. That might be their third movie. I find it weird that their first two big major films are three-word titles. Talk to Me and Bring Her Back. I don't know. It's just interesting to me. I wonder if these are going to be thematically connected, but not obviously connected. If you haven't seen Talk to Me, highly recommend to check it out on Paramount Plus if you have Paramount Plus with Showtime. If you don't, just fucking rent it. Excellent horror film. Has a very good allegory to what I would say is drugs with the youths. But it's very well made. It has some fun scenes, but after a rewatch, it's a little more depressing than I remember. This looks like it's zero fun. Granted, there's a lot of horror movies that don't need fun in them to be good, and I love really heavy movies. This looks a little too heavy, but I will go see it. It's in theaters Thursday. Other thing in theaters, which Roxy, you got to let me know if I'm taking you because it's coming out Thursday. Another thing that's in theaters is Karate Kid Legends, which I don't think will tie in to Cobra Kai directly. If they do, I feel like it's going to be winks. But this is basically a sequel to the Jaden Smith Karate Kid, the OG Karate Kids, and of course, the OG Karate Kids. After moving to New York City with his mother, Kung Fu protege Li Fong struggles to let go of the past as he tries to fit in with his new classmates. When a new friend needs his help, Lee enters a karate competition, but his skills alone aren't enough. With help from Mr. Han and Daniel LaRusso, he soon learns to merge two styles into one for the ultimate martial arts showdown. I think that this actually looks pretty badass. Specifically, the fighting scenes look really badass. I'm not the biggest Karate Kid fan. After watching the first 3, I was like, yeah, I get it. And I did watch one season of Cobra Kai. I see what the appeal is, and I hear season 2 is where it gets a lot better. But I do hear it's like a really, really great show, and I will hopefully finish it someday. However, I'm down for this movie, and I will say, if you watch the trailer, you may agree, this doesn't look like it directly connects to Cobra Kai. We'll see. Another movie that's coming out in theaters is, I'm sorry, not in theaters. This is on streaming. It's called Mountainhead. It's with Steve Carell, Rami Youssef, and a couple other white people. Oh, wait. Also, Jason. I forgot his name. Schwartzman. I didn't have to look it up. Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, Rami Youssef, and some white guy who I think it was Chevy Chase in the Saturday Night Live movie Saturday Night, about a group of billionaire friends that get together against the backdrop of a rolling international crisis. Watch the trailer. You think that you're seeing a film just an episode of Succession. And guess what? It's by the guy who did Succession. Not to say it looks not good, but it doesn't look very different from Succession. I'll still watch it. And I loved Succession, and I love Steve Carell, but it might be a little too similar. I feel like it's going to be a medium, but hopefully it's a little higher than that. On television, we have The Second Best Hospital in the Galaxy, which is an animated comedy about 2 alien doctors that tackle anxiety-eating parasites, illegal time loops, and deep space STIs. I saw the trailer for the first season, and I was like, this looks pretty funny. I never watched it, but after seeing that it gets a second season on Prime Tuesday, I think that I'll watch it. Adults will be hitting Hulu, at least the first few episodes, about a 20-something ensemble comedy group centering... Adults is a 20-something ensemble comedy centering on codependent housemates navigating adulthood together despite their flaws. I don't know. I watched some clips from it, and I think that it looks like a good new FX sitcom that we've missed for a while, or that we have with like Always Sunny and like a select few other shows, but we don't get new ones anymore. So I have high hopes for it. It will be premiering on FX Wednesdays, but the full season is going to drop on Hulu Thursday. So be sure to check this full series on Hulu Thursday. And let me know what you think, and I'll let you know. I think it'll be at least a medium. On Prime, we have The Better Sister. Didn't watch a trailer, but I already like the cast. We have Chloe, a high-profile media executive that lives a picturesque life with her husband, Adam, and son. Her estranged sister, Nikki, struggles to make ends meet. When Adam is murdered, the two sisters reunite and try to untangle a complicated family history. The only reason I'm watching this is because it's got, I forgot her name. I know that's Elizabeth Banks. Jennifer Beal. Yes. Jessica Biel. Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks. We barely see Jessica Biel anymore, so I'm down. I didn't even watch the trailer, but I'm still going to give it a shot. And we also have Department Q on Netflix, which centers on Carl, a former top-rated detective that's racked with guilt following an attack that left his partner paralyzed and another policeman dead. On his return to work, Carl is assigned to a cold case that will soon consume his life. After watching the trailer, this looks kind of boring, but I feel like it does have potential to be a very well-made show and a popular show at that. It stars Matthew Good. Hopefully the show is good. Check it out on Netflix Thursday. And finally, returning on Max Thursdays is the Sex and the City spinoff, And Just Like That. And just like that, the episode's over of Popcorn Poppin'. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's check out the comments before I go. Still, what's my personal favorite mission? 1 second. Ghost Protocol is my favorite mission. And this isn't me just comparing it like stunt-wise and everything. Okay, so the best film is Mission Impossible 3. in my opinion. I think that's the best film. I love everything about it. It used to be Mission Impossible 1, but after going through them all again, Mission Impossible 1 has that 90s, it's a great 90s film, but if I have to compare all of them, 3, it just really stands out stylistically, storytelling, and action and villain. If you got a good villain, it's going to give you a lot of points for me, and that was the best villain. The villain from 1 is okay and everything, but it just needed more action, and I really believe that Ghost Protocol defines the fun that we love about the Mission Impossible films. It's just best film, Mission Impossible 3. Best Mission Impossible movie is Ghost Protocol. Halloween segment? Yeah, sure, Jordan. I'm trying to figure out how to do. I would like us to be in the same room. I will be doing guest segments on Popcorn Poppin' in the future, but I'd like it to be in the same room. So once we figure that out, I'm definitely down. I told you that before that I'd be down. I just never figured out how to do it. And I've had other people approach me that would love to do that. I'd even love to do interviews with them as well. So don't worry. I think that it'll happen. Mountain Head didn't look any interesting to me. I don't blame you. It does. It just, I just trust the filmmaker that did Succession. If you didn't like Succession or aren't interested in Succession, then Mountain Head definitely isn't for you. But I think if you're a Succession fan, that you might like it. The cast alone makes me interested enough, even if I didn't watch Succession. Rami Youssef had a really great show, Rami. I haven't watched the stand-up, but I like him. Steve Carell's awesome, and I do like Jason Schwartzman vehicles. Roxy says, yes, count me in. She's excited for Karate Kid. Looks like we'll be seeing Karate Kid this week. Jordan says, adults look so good. That's good. I'm pretty excited, more excited. Excuse me. More excited for it now. Because, again, I've only watched little tiny clips. I haven't watched full-on trailers, but I like the look of it. The Compartment Q looks like ass. The second half of the trailer, I was like, I don't know. It looks procedural and kind of boring, but it does have potential. Matthew Good joining a television series is pretty rare, so hopefully it's good. And happy birthday, heart, 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 heart. And happy birthday to you. Everybody, let's sing to Jordan, happy birthday. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jordan. Happy birthday to you. And the Popcorn Poppy. I hope you appreciate that I did this episode, even though it's my birthday. But technically, it's not my birthday today, but it will be in several hours. So make sure I have a happy birthday by commenting, liking, sharing. I'll be making clips throughout the week on all social platforms. Be sure to share them all. Be sure to subscribe to my Facebook, to the YouTube, to Instagram, I even got an X account and Threads. I don't post more on those, but I do post a lot on the Facebook and YouTube. So please be sure to do that. I know we share the same birthday, Jordan. That's why I had them sing happy birthday to you. They don't know. They might be watching this tomorrow. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, especially if you watch this on Memorial Day. That's super sick of you. But go back out and enjoy yourselves. Y'all got work tomorrow. I don't. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Be on the lookout for the Last of Us show versus video game with spoilers video that will be coming out sometime this week. And you also might get a little bit of a sketch. You might get a sketch. I'm working on a sketch. All right. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.